Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series, Rescue the Rockies. And apologies that there have been so few videos over the last couple of weeks, as those of you who have been following us know, been sick for quite some time, although continue to get better and better and extremely busy at work in the run-up to the holidays, but hopefully over the last week or so of this year of 2025, we'll see more videos and more content from these Colorado Rockies as we try to get this 29-39 season finally underway today. Couple of comments and changes since the last episode. One thing that I've done as far as the lineup we anticipated having, did put Anthony Pack Jr. on the IL. You may remember he was dealing with a strained hammy. It's something that he's been dealing with for 2 weeks now. His recovery time is still unknown. Rather than have this become an issue that might linger for our former Gold Glove winning center fielder throughout the season, we decided to get him on the IL to start the year. And what that means is that the youngster Ted Slade, who was the final cut on our team, is going to get an opportunity to play at least against left-handed pitching over the next week and a half or so, combined for 53 homers and 131 ribbies in AA and AAA a year ago. Really nothing left for him to prove in the minors, almost 24 years old. I think the home run power is potentially exceptional. The rest of his bat is very pedestrian. Not a lot of speed, not a great defensive player, but we'll give him an opportunity to at least play for us and bat seventh while playing first base against left-handed pitchers over the near term. Maybe get some at-bats as a pinch hitter as well. Also wanted to address some feedback we got from Undercover Boomer and Raven Spawn 3, neither of whom is really thrilled with the decision that we're going to be starting Johnny Castillo at shortstop against righties and potentially have the likes of Travis Ramstad and Jarrett Woods in the lineup against righties rather than having Derby Mahez at short. Mahez will continue to be our shortstop against left-handed pitching. Get the point that he is our best defensive infielder, and ultimately we may need to have him in the lineup more frequently. Just really unenthusiastic about his bat against right-handed pitching right now. Now, given how good he is defensively, how good he is in the clubhouse, how good he is on the base paths, I can definitely see a scenario where come playoff time he's our everyday shortstop, and could certainly see a scenario where the offensive boost that we get is not something that overwhelms the fact that we're losing a very good defensive player, and by not having him in the lineup at shortstop, getting some guys who are weaker at multiple infield positions. So certainly something I'll be monitoring as this season goes forward. If the likes of Woods and Ramstad particularly struggle offensively against right-handed pitching, could find ourselves in a situation where Mahez gets more frequent activity as our everyday shortstop. The fear with that, of course, is that Mahez is fragile physically. He has had some pretty significant time missed due to injuries in the past. But appreciate the feedback from Ravenspawn 3 and Undercover Boomer on perhaps not paying enough attention to defense as we begin this season with our lineup. It's something that I'm intentionally doing, going in with eyes wide open as to what the potential ramifications can be, and certainly something that we'll consider changing if needed as this season moves along. And with that, time to get things underway against the Milwaukee Brewers here on opening day. And we did get an extra inning win, 6-5 over the Brewers on opening day, so the season off to a good start. You can see the schedule here, and as I look at it, it looks like the fact that we added in an expansion team has led to a weird schedule. I know this was noted by a viewer. I forget exactly who brought it up. It was about a week ago in an episode that they had done an expansion team and found that the schedule was set up without any interleague play. Similar situation here for us as I've looked through the schedule. So hopefully next year when we change the divisional setup, can also get the schedule adjusted and back to normal as far as there being some interleague play. The other thing I've noticed is that the days for this schedule are very messed up. The series, many of which are running on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, as you can see here, with the Atlanta Braves coming up and then St. Louis the week after that, rather than the traditional Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the 3-game series. So a minor annoyance to me that is going to bother me more than it possibly should over the course of this season, but hopefully next year we will get a schedule straightened out. Obviously all NL foes for us over this month of April that we have coming up. Not a ton of divisional games at San Francisco and then home against the Diamondbacks later in the month. But other than that, it's all non-divisional foes here in the month of April for our Rockies. And as we move forward in the month of April, our Rockies off to a decidedly mediocre 4-4 start, 2 games back in the division. Good news, Anthony Pack Jr. is back and healthy, and we'll be sending Ted Slade down to the minors. We did face a lot of lefties, so he got 23 at-bats over this first week and a half or so of the season. Only 3 for 23, though, although he did have 1 home run. But a 14 WRC plus below replacement level overall makes it relatively easy to send him down to AAA for a little more seasoning and to make space in the lineup and on our roster for the more versatile outfielder Anthony Pack Jr. And we've won 2 out of 3 since the last time we checked in to push our record to 6-5. I just wanted to note that Ryan Stone, the veteran first baseman named the National League Player of the Week, hit .480, 12 for 25. Couple of home runs, 9 ribbies, and 6 runs scored. The veteran has kind of been slipping a little bit over the last few years. You may remember we had an option on him for this upcoming season. We weren't sure about that, but we ultimately exercised it. And then we questioned whether or not we should protect him in the expansion draft. The way that everything ultimately worked out, Stone is back with us, still our first baseman against right-handed pitching, and off to a very nice start in the very early going of this season. And the team's been playing better over the last couple of weeks. I had a 6-game winning streak that unfortunately was snapped when we lost 2 out of 3 to San Francisco in our first divisional games of the season. But as we sit here in late April, 15-9 record, still not back to our familiar spot on top of the division, but just a game behind the surging Diamondbacks at this point. Johnny Castillo and Mike Castro, 2nd and 3rd in the National League in hitting. Castillo has also had an 11-game hitting streak this year. Pitching-wise, Bernie Barrera tied for the league lead in the early going with 3 wins on the mound. And we won 3 of our last 5 games in the month of April, taking 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, and then we split our first 2 against the Philadelphia Phillies. Taking a look at the standings now with 1 full month in the books, tied for the league lead, or the division lead in the NL West at 18-11 with the Diamondbacks. That also gives us one of the best records in baseball. Only the Orioles at 19-10 are ahead of our Rockies and the Diamondbacks. So things going reasonably well. Take a quick look at our team statistics to see how the season is going. 18-11 record, just behind expectations at this point. Ranked 2nd in the National League in runs scored. You can see we're generally in the top handful of teams in most offensive categories. Somewhat surprising exception perhaps being home runs, where we rank only 12th. First in the league in steals, second in base running. The defense, not as sharp as it has perhaps been in previous seasons. Sixth in defensive efficiency, fourth in zone rating. So possible that we're suffering a little bit from not having Derby Mahez out there as often. Overall, though, the pitching staff still very successful, second in the league in runs allowed. The bullpen has been lights out with a 2.50 ERA, although all our starters' ERA is relatively average, ranking ninth overall. Generally, in a lot of the pitching categories, a top half of the league type of ranking in the vast majority of categories. Starters ERA where we're ninth, and home runs allowed where we're tied for eighth. Kind of exceptions to that rule, but still generally a pretty positive performance. Take a look at a few of the infielders just to see if we can get some initial trends on how things are going. Derby Mahez hitting just a $140 in 43 at-bats, primarily against left-handed pitching. Ugly -3 WRC plus, a 7 OPS plus, and he's been below replacement level. So despite his good defense, certainly not making a compelling case to be back in the lineup. Has been an above-average defensive shortstop, as we'd expect. Defensive efficiency exceptional, and also a positive zone rating at this point. Look at a couple of the other infielders in the early going of this season. Free agent signee Travis Ramstad, hitting .217 with 13 ribbies in his first 26 games as a Rocky. No home runs, only a 60 WRC plus. He has been below replacement level as well. Trent Kaysen, the young third baseman, hitting .278 in 36 at-bats. So he's been plenty productive when he has had the opportunity, which has been primarily against left-handed pitching. Jarrett Woods, the young infielder, hitting just a $185, barely above replacement level at this point. So he has not been particularly effective either. Last but not least, we will check in on the guy who's been playing shortstop for us the majority of time. Former National League Rookie of the Year, Johnny Castillo, off to a monster start for us with the bat, hitting .354, 7 homers and 25 ribbies. He has played in 27 of the 29 games that we have played this year. Defensively, he's been below average at short, -2 zone rating, .943 defensive efficiency. So certainly not as good with the glove as we'd expect from Mahez. At some point could move him back towards his more natural second base position, but gonna get a little bit more of a sample size before I make any moves. But my hunch is I probably will be leaning towards the recommendations of Ravenspawn 3 and Undercover Boomer, and over time trying to ensure that we get Mahez a little more regular time at shortstop and ultimately tighten up our infield defense overall. And we've still been playing good baseball over the course of the first half of the month of May. Some more divisional series. We took 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers, took 2 out of 3 against San Diego. Just did lose on the road our first regular season game against the expansion Salt Lake Trappers. Taking a look at the standings, 27 and 16. We're now a game up on the Diamondbacks. The expansion team's doing reasonably well. The Trappers 1 game above 500 here in the NL West, and the Indianapolis Racers just 4 games out in the relatively weak AL Central, although their record is only 20 and 23. Positively, the Racers have won 6 in a row at this point, so certainly playing their best baseball of the season at this point. Johnny Castillo, second in the league with 39 ribbies as we sit here on May 16th. And taking a look at our pitchers, nobody near the top of the leaderboards for us in the still relatively early going of this 2039 season. And we've split 2 games since we last checked in, lost another game to the Trappers before we were rained out. The final game of the series did face and beat Milwaukee yesterday, but some news that's probably going to increase the pace and force us to perhaps make some more significant decisions about the infield and the defense that we had been talking about throughout the episode. Season over for Jarrett Woods, just suffered a torn PCL. So the 27-year-old, obviously done for the year, out for another 7 months, should be ready to begin his rehab right about the holidays in 2039. 184 batting average, 2 homers and 15 ribbies over 141 at-bats. So certainly was not a particularly effective offensive player for us this season after he had a solid rookie year for us last year. Admittedly is a bit older 26-year-old rookie a year ago. And with that injury to Jarrett Woods, we're going to bring the young infielder Ted Slade back up. He was hitting .305 with 17 homers and 34 ribbies in 35 games played down in AAA. So as we've talked about, really nothing left for him to prove there. He'll take over at first base for Mr. Woods against left-handed pitching. And we will work on improving our defense against righties. Derby Mahez goes into the lineup. He pivots to short. Johnny Castillo moves from short to second. Travis Ramstad moves from second base to third base. So hopefully that will tighten up the infield defense a bit. The big issue is whether Mahez, with his fragility, can remain healthy. We're going to try to rest him relatively aggressively anytime his stamina gets below 93%. We'll let him take a day off. Hopefully we can keep him relatively healthy now that he's back in the lineup as our everyday shortstop. And our Rockies have been playing very well as we head towards the end of this month of May. Won 9 in a row before splitting our last 2 games against the Braves. 1 left against them on the road before we come home to face the Cubs. Unfortunately, the health starting to become a little bit of an issue for us. Noah Schultz, diagnosis pending for the former ace. That's always a danger for a soon-to-be 36-year-old who's fragile physically and dealing with a potential elbow injury. And center fielder Anthony Pack Jr., bone marrow edema in his wrist. He's going to miss more than a month. Hopefully we'll have him back just before the All-Star break, but have at least one roster move coming up to address the issue with Mr. Pack Jr.'s injury, and not necessarily feeling all that optimistic about the potential elbow injury that Schultz is now dealing with. And after a number of trades that we've made over the years, as well as some free agent departures and then some losses in the expansion draft, our outfield at the upper levels of the minor league is unfortunately a little bit relatively bare. We ended up promoting the shortstop Jose Gonzaba. You may remember he was a minor league free agent signing 3.5 years ago at this point, was up with us very briefly last season. Pretty productive this year in AAA, hitting .282 with 26 home runs in just 177 at-bats. Gives us a little more versatility defensively in the infield, particularly because Slade didn't do much for us there when we brought him up to replace the injured Mr. Woods. A little light on outfielders right now. Mike Castro is going to pivot to center field. Eric Mokeen going to pivot from DH to left field. And we're going to give the youngster Ted Slade the opportunity to be our DH against right-handed pitching. Certainly has not impressed in the early going of his major league career. Just 6 for 37 total stats on the season since he got called back up a while back. Does have 2 homers and 8 ribbies in that limited sample size, so the hope is that he continues to luck into some home runs for us on maybe add a little value for us that way. 37-18 record as we sit here right near the end of the month. We're now 3.5 games up on the Padres in the division, and the best record in baseball, 9-1 record over our last 10, boosted by that long winning streak. And unfortunately, the news on Noah Schultz, not unexpectedly, very bad. Torn UCL, going to basically miss the next year. Going to obviously miss the rest of this season, and he certainly is not expected to be ready for the beginning of next year. Out for 11 to 12 months. He is in the final year of a 3-year extension we signed him to. Really didn't end up working out incredibly well for us. Pitched only 3 games for us in 2037. Was 10-6 with a 4.26 ERA last year in 28 starts, but only 11 games pitched this year. 5-3 record, 4.32 ERA. Schultz, who we signed as a big free agent after he was a 2-time Cy Young Award winner with the Chicago White Sox, never reached those levels individually with us in Colorado, but you can see he did have a couple of 17-win seasons, also led the league once with 16 wins, was a very effective pitcher for us and very consistent, pitching 33 games each of the first 5 seasons he was with us when we signed him to that initial contract, but the extension with him did not work out nearly as effectively as he got into his mid-30s. As I talked about, very probable that he has pitched his final game in a Colorado Rockies uniform. And with that season-ending injury and possibly Colorado Rockies' 8-year run-ending injury to Noah Schultz, David Guadron, even though he hasn't been great this year with a 5.37 ERA, going to move up to be our number 4 starter. And Jesse Hoffmeister, who's 1-1 with a 3.07 ERA for us this year, going to get an opportunity to start for us. He's been on the major league team for almost a year and a half at this point. Certainly has plenty of stamina to start. His stuff is exceptional, throws close to 100 miles an hour. Do worry with those extreme fly ball tendencies in Coors Field that he's going to give up a lot of home runs. He's given up 7 already this year in 41 innings pitched, and his control is not excellent either. But almost 26 years old, the former second-round draft pick is fragile physically. We'll see when we're able to get him into the rotation, how he does with this opportunity that the injury to Schultz has given him. With Hoffmeister going into the rotation, we promoted Danny Dominguez, who was one of our final cuts. He made his major league debut for us last year. Wasn't good in AAA Albuquerque, 1-4 record with a ERA of over 5, but in the offense-friendly PCL, that's still 1.7 wins above replacement, and we'll give the 26-year-old lefty an opportunity to pitch for us at the major league level. Will give us a third left-handed arm out of the bullpen. Had been running with only 2 lefties in the bullpen when we had 3 lefties, including Schultz, in the rotation. And as the calendar turns to June, our 38-19 Rockies continue to have the best record in the baseball. 3.5 game lead over the Padres at this point. Johnny Castillo, 17 home runs and 48 ribbies, both tied for second in the National League. Anthony Pack Jr. tied for the league lead in steals, with PCA still going strong at age 37 for the Cubbies. Johnny Castillo tied for the league lead with Sensao Samara with a 2.9 WAR among batters. Pitching-wise, Bob Russell now third in the league in ERA, leading the league in wins. And closer Adonis Valer putting up another nice year for us, tied for the league lead with 16 saves and a 1.25 earned run average. Before we finish up the episode, a quick look at the team statistics, although I meant to do that. Got a very brief look at our stats leaders, but team statistic wise, the 38-19 record, one game worse than expectations. 17-11 in April, 20-8 in May, so off to a very good start. First in the National League in runs scored, top 3 or 4 in just about every offensive category except for home runs, where we're now middle of the pack, tied for 8th. Leading the league in steals, leading the league in base running, 3rd in defensive efficiency, 3rd in zone rating, and the pitching is definitely straightened out, leading the league in runs allowed. Bullpen ERA of 2.19 remains exceptional, and the starters have gotten their ERA under 4 for the year and rank 5th in the National League at 3.91. Basically the top 5 in all of the primary pitching categories. So a really nice start to the season for our Rockies. Next time around, we'll continue simming through the month of June as we head towards the midway point of the season and start thinking about our mid-season review and perhaps what we might do in the trade market. We've got a little bit of money. Not a ton, but we've got about $4.5 million if we wanted to potentially bring on some salaries. Certainly doesn't seem like we're as deep in the outfield as we have been in the future. We've obviously lost a starting pitcher for the year and a starting infielder for the year. So maybe there will be some levers for us to press as we get closer to the trade deadline. Not expecting here on June 1st that there's going to be much of anything that interesting that's on the trade block yet, but we'll take a quick look. Certainly an interesting closer, Sugano Shimada, 30-year-old with the Reds organization known as Megavolt, 6.20 ERA, which given his exceptional stuff is surprisingly bad. Not necessarily the greatest personality in the world, but certainly a very effective pitcher, although he is making $31 million as a closer. So that would be a difficult contract for us to try to bring on board. Jose Cervantes, 1-5 in 9 games with an ERA of over 7, also potentially available. So don't know that there's necessarily any difference makers that are attainable. We wanted to add an outfielder, the left fielder Josh Miller, making $30.5 million. Looks like he is in the final year of a 5-year deal with the Padres. Foghorn Dick is a 2-time All-Star, also a former Silver Slugger winner, hitting just .216 this year with 7 homers and 21 ribbies. But the left-handed hitter is a bit more effective against right-handed pitching than he is against left-handed pitching, at least when we look at his ratings. Still a competent defensive player, decent base running instincts, pretty popular with the fans. Another guy that we would need the Padres to likely be willing to keep some of his salary to bring him on board, which probably isn't going to work out perfectly given that they are a divisional rival of ours, but good to know that there are already some potentially interesting players on the trade block, and we'll continue to explore some options as we see how this team proceeds over the next month, given that the Padres are only 3.5 games behind us in the same division. Tend to think that they're not going to be all that eager to trade him to us, but certainly worth investigating. I guess I can do a quick investigation on that right now for you before I finish up this episode. No one who makes the deal work, but I think that's largely driven by the fact that we just don't have the... Actually, we do probably have the money if we were to send them a big salary back, so it might be something that doesn't work. If they kept 80% of the salary, we'd have to trade away the outstanding young outfielder Mike Castro or our ace Leo Martinez, so that's not necessarily going to work. At 70%, we could include the outstanding reliever Chris Kennedy. So certainly the price for Miller as a rental, given the money that he's making, seems a bit exorbitant to me at this point, but certainly something we can monitor going forward. But happy to be back in the saddle here, hopefully with some more new episodes coming out relatively soon. Thanks as always for watching, and until our next episode, hope you have a great day.